It goes without saying that until the late 1950s and early 1960s, Malawi was a British colony. But as the wind of self-rule swept across Africa, Malawi was not spared. A new leader of Malawian origin emerged. His name was Hastings Kamzubanda.
Come back home to break their stupid federation and to give you, my people, the Africans of this country, your own government and independence.
Banda led the Malawi Congress Party to victory in 1964, becoming the country's first ever president. Many rejoiced because they had seen a ray of hope. Freedom from the burden of the British rule was at last within their grasp. However, all was not rosy under Banda's rule, especially towards its end, as explained by Ririan Patel, acting president for the United Democratic Front, UDF. As Patel explains her ordeal, a militia group under MCP, known as Young Pioneer, once brutalized and forced her and her colleagues out of their office just to attend and dance at a presidential function.
It was really bad. People were forced to do things. Like, for example, even women going to dance. It was by force. If you don't go, you get a punishment. The youth leaders will go all over. I remember I was working, walk around, come in offices, and why are you here? The president is here. Why are you not going? It was bad.
Patel's claims are cemented by Selena Hussein, a 60-year-old woman from Sanje district, who at the age of 15 was forced to join the youth league tasked with selling party cards in her area and beyond.
The
one-party government was cruel. I was 15 years old when I was being forced to go and sell party cards without my parents' consent. They were being persecuted if they refused to allow me to sell the cards. We would go and sell the cards in marketplaces and water points. If we dared to refuse to do that, our parents were being punished. One time, my parents had to hide along the Shile banks when the party militia came for us.
And to Joro Phiri, a 76-year-old man from Cheo district, the one-party era was a period of endurance and survival of the fittest.
The one-party government system was very cruel. They had youth league whose members were moving door by door at night, checking every household if all family members had party cards. If they found that you don't have a card, they could seize your property. So yes, he fought for our independence, but we had to endure his leadership.
Not only did this era register oppression of civil rights, but other rights too, as outlined by Saulos Tindwa, Deputy National Publicity Secretary for Alliance for Democracy, AFOD, a political movement that was very instrumental in the struggle for multiparty democracy.
It was very, very difficult in many aspects. First, in terms of human rights, there was no respect for human rights, and there was a lot of intimidation. There was a lot of looting of government resources. There was a lot of killings, a lot of torture, a lot of arrest, unnecessary political arrest. It was very bad and worrisome.
These and many other social ills necessitated the uprising against the Banda rule by individuals like the late Chakufa Chihana, founder and former president of AFOD, who demanded change.
It is now evident that most Malawians have decided that enough is enough. They want a democratic change. We want the right to form political parties to contest elections in a free and fair atmosphere. It is the conviction of many Malawians that the political decay and economic malaise in our country can only be reversed if Dr. Banda and his entire cabinet are defeated in a free and fair election. For me to say such things now is regarded as treasonous by those who hold the power in my country.
Things shook up in Malawi when the faith community, led by 7 Catholic bishops, authored the very first Pastoral Letter in 1992, which openly criticized the Banda regime. The letter, read in all Catholic churches across the country, titled Living Our Faith, challenged Banda's dictatorial style of leadership and demanded democratic rule. When pressure became too high for Banda in 1993, he accepted the calls for change and called for a national referendum.
I have decided to call for a national referendum on the question of whether people want our present one-party system or want to switch on to the multi-party system of government.
In 1993, Malawians went to the polls and voted in a referendum to end one-party rule and in its place adopt a multiparty system. The following year, 1994, the country held its first democratic elections, won by Bakele Muluzi and the UDF. Since 1994, Malawi has held 5 democratic elections, each one strengthening the country's commitment to democracy. However, the question remains, 30 years down the line, has the country achieved what it aspired to gain from multi-party democracy? Muluzi, the country's first democratically elected president, feels that despite achieving freedom of expression and other human rights freedoms, democracy has failed to address the widening gap existing between the rich and the poor in the country.
When you look at the economy, the poverty profile of our people is still very, very high. The difference between the poor and the rich, the gap is so wide. That's my worry, because democracy is not about the human rights aspects. It's also what is it that we are doing for the people. So in that area, I think we are still lacking in terms of provisions of improving the wealth of the ordinary people.
Muluzi's views are echoed by Mirwad Tobias, an economic expert who says the country has failed to make meaningful economic gains since the inception of multi-party democracy.
The World Bank recently released a report which showed that 71.7% of Malawians are in poverty. The Ministry of Finance also released a report saying 91% of Malawians don't have a stable source of income. So high level of unemployment and highly vulnerable society economically. And the per capita income is actually less than 1,000. The Malawi 2063 10 years plan, which we call MIJ, is targeting that we reach middle income status by 2030. But you can see that the economy is growing stuntedly and the hopes are shut. But even the gap between the rich and the poor is wide.
And a food security policy analyst, Ronald Kalumpha, weighs in on how the country has done herself on the food security front. Doing a comparative analysis on how the food situation is currently, Kalumpha feels the country has not done well on food security as was the case in the one-party era.
This country has been food insecure in the multi-party era compared to the time when we had a one-party government. We have left infrastructure to deteriorate and we've lost that footing in terms of agricultural productivity.
Weighing in on the assessment is the Public Affairs Committee, PAC, another influential tool during the transitional period from one-party era to multi-party system. Its mouthpiece, Bishop Gifford Matonga, says that despite the country registering success stories through the 30 years of democracy, still there has been growing cases of corruption.
during these 30 years, we have seen a lot of corruption cases, and this has not changed during whatever regime that has been ruling this country since 30 years ago. So corruption has been rampant and continues to rise, no matter under what administration. That has been a worrying issue and continues to worry the country even now.
Although there remains gaps that need addressing, for the country to fully achieve its aspirations from democracy, there is hope, according to Tom Kanji, National Planning Commission spokesperson. According to him, democracy gives power to the people to take an active role in the developmental agenda of a nation.
Democracy gives the power to the people to decide, one, on the leadership of their country, two, to make sure on the kind of development they want to achieve, because the democracy gives the people the voice to speak out on what is happening and the likes. Democracy also gives people the chance to take part, not just to be spectators in their affairs, take part to be active and the likes. So if you look at democracy from the conceptual point of view, it is good for development.
However, for that development to be achieved in the next 3 decades or so, Matonga feels there is a need for mindset change at all levels on how things are run in the country. As Matonga explains, unless leaders stop being rhetorical and start acting on developmental policies, there will not be any positive change anytime soon.
If we continue to do things the same way we're doing, I'm afraid we are not to make any improvement. We cannot continue doing business as usual and expect that the results will be different. We have to continue to make use of the strategies that we have put in place. Unless we act on the things that we have developed on paper, unless we act on them and stop being a people that only talk about issues but act less, unless we do that, I'm afraid the next 30 years may not bring a lot of changes.
Malawi's journey to democracy is a testament to the power of the human spirit. From the darkness of perceived dictatorship to the light of freedom, this nation has come a long way. And as we move forward, we remember that democracy is a journey and not necessarily a destination. For MIJ FM News in Brante, this is Aubrey Kalumpha.